New footage of NBA YoungBoy just dropped, and it's wild. It shows him straight up smacking Lil Tim mid-performance after a fan tossed something on stage. Yeah, that Lil Tim, the same dude tied to King Von's death. Now the internet's on fire. People can't decide if YB just lost his temper or if he was putting his own shooter in check right there in front of thousands. The clip starts like any other viral concert moment, blurry phone footage, crowd screaming, cameras shaking, but the chaos in this one feels different. Right there, in the center of it all, stands YB, staring down Lil Tim with that cold Baton Rouge stare before smack. Fans lost their minds instantly. Within minutes, social media was flooded. "Ain't no way YB just checked his own shooter," one fan wrote, while others swore it had to be fake. But everyone agreed, if that footage was real, it wasn't just a random outburst, it was a power move. And what made this even more explosive was who it involved. Lil Tim isn't just another rapper. He's the man at the heart of one of the darkest, most infamous nights in modern hip-hop. The night King Von was killed outside an Atlanta nightclub back in 2020 changed the game forever. That single gunfight split the culture in half. Some calling Tim a hero for protecting his crew, others labeling him the face of betrayal. When that tragedy happened, chaos ruled the night. According to his own words, Lil Tim described it as pure confusion. Bullets flying, people screaming, cops firing shots, and him getting hit twice, once in the hip and once in the backside. Even while bleeding, he claimed his mind stayed.
Well, you pull out and you shoot 4 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Locked in, calm as ever. That eerie calm became his trademark later on, almost like he'd accepted the role he was about to play in rap history. After Von's death, the streets went silent. Then came NBA YoungBoy. Sitting behind bars at the time, he was already wrestling with his demons, refusing to bow to labels or anyone trying to tame him. That defiant energy was what made him different. When he finally got out, he wasn't just angry, he was strategic. Every lyric, every post, every diss felt like a message carved in stone. He didn't just rap anymore, he orchestrated narratives.
I knew, like, do the same thing, like stay calm and just make sure I get to the hospital.
Fans could feel the tension bleeding through the speakers. One track practically turned the Atlanta shooting into a victory chant with Lil Tim painted like a war hero. For some, it was music. For others, it was disrespect on another level. But behind the curtain, whispers were spreading fast. Word was, YB wasn't even fully on board with that project. In one interview, Lil Tim told Vlad TV that Quando had to convince YB to release it, saying he wanted to wait, maybe even distance himself from the situation altogether. That one statement hit fans like a punch. Because now, with this new footage showing YB smacking Tim, it's hard not to wonder if that tension had been simmering all along. Think about it. This wasn't just any moment. This was YB sending a loud message in front of the world. The same man who helped cement his street legacy just got humbled on stage. The same dude fans once said saved YB's reputation just got publicly checked by the boss himself. So what's really happening inside YB's circle? That's the question twisting social media into chaos. Some say it was a snap, a sudden burst of anger from years of bottled up frustration. Others claim it's deeper, maybe even planned. Rumors are spinning that YB's grown tired of carrying the weight of other people's wars, tired of watching his name get dragged into every Chicago beef. And then there's the whispers that he's cutting ties, slowly but publicly, with anyone who could bring more heat his way. Especially with Lil Durk and Von's camp constantly throwing shots online, YB's paranoia is said to have hit the roof. Whatever the truth is, this wasn't just a slap, it was a statement, a reminder that in YB's world, loyalty comes with rules, and crossing lines, even by accident, can get you checked in front of everyone. It wasn't a fight, it wasn't a scene, it was quiet, almost too quiet. What made people believe the footage was real wasn't the sound or chaos, but the way YB moved, cold, controlled, like a boss reminding everyone who's really in charge. No shouting, no threats, just one slick motion that screamed, "Don't forget who feeds you." That calm made it 10 times scarier. Fans instantly connected it back to YB's own words from older clips where he talked about staying untouchable and never letting anyone drag him down again. See, that's the wild contradiction that makes NBA YoungBoy so unpredictable. He'll say he doesn't need anybody, yet he's always surrounded by soldiers ready to ride for him. He'll talk about hating attention, But every move he makes shakes the entire rap game. He claims he doesn't care about the industry, but somehow every drop forces the industry to react. If that video was real, then this wasn't rage, it was strategy. This was YB drawing a line in the dirt and saying, "You cross this, you're done." Back in 2020, he might have needed Lil Tim to keep his name solid. But now, in 2025, Lil Tim needs YB to stay relevant. The power dynamic flipped. In that old Vlad TV interview, Lil Tim talked about his first convo with YB after bonding out. He said YB was calm, collected, but distant. Years later, fans could see that change for themselves. That same young boy who used to preach loyalty and brotherhood now moves like a king who's learned that loyalty doesn't last forever. YB's not just another rapper anymore. He's sitting on a throne built off pain, loss, and street scars. And when you build your kingdom on violence, that same violence eventually comes back knocking. The smack might not have been random. It might have been destiny circling back. To outsiders, this whole moment just looks like another meltdown from a rapper who thrives on chaos. But to those who've been following since Von's final night to the 3860 project, and now this leaked clip, it feels like a coded message. In YB's world, nothing goes viral by accident. Everything has a meaning, because behind every viral clip is a hierarchy. And in YB's world, that hierarchy determines who survives and who fades. This ain't the same YoungBoy from the 38 Baby era. That kid's gone. This version has seen betrayal, courtrooms, caskets, and fake love. He's learned that fear can open doors that respect never could. After being branded as hip-hop's villain for years, YB seems to be embracing it now. Like he's saying, "Yeah, I'm the bad guy and I'm fine with that." The streets might see this as disrespect, but for him, it's discipline. That's what makes this slap sting deeper than any diss track. Because when the man who defended you when everyone else called you a killer suddenly puts hands on you, it doesn't just sting, it sends a message. Something major is brewing and everyone can feel it. Once that footage hit the internet, the digital streets went crazy. TikTok flooded with edits. Twitter, or X, caught fire. YouTube reactors froze the clip frame by frame like they were studying the Zapruder film. People zoomed in on body language, trying to see if Lil Tim flinched or smiled, if YB said something under his breath. But behind all that noise, one question kept haunting everyone. Did NBA YoungBoy just check his own shooter? That's not something the streets can process easily, because if that's true, it flips the whole balance of power upside down. Lil Tim was always seen as the loyal soldier, the one who took all the heat so YB's empire could stay strong. He was the guy who didn't fold when everyone else ran, the man who turned one chaotic night in Atlanta into hip-hop history. But when the boss smacks the soldier, even symbolically, it means one thing: the rules just change. Let's rewind. After King Von's death, Lil Tim wasn't hiding, he was healing. He'd been shot twice, interrogated, dragged through one of the most controversial legal fights in rap history. While out on bond, he leaned heavy on Quando Rondo and YB for support. In his Vlad TV sit-down, he said hearing his name immortalized in music gave him purpose again. That validation meant everything to him. But now that this clip's out, all that respect he thought he'd earned looks shaky. Fans see the slap as a public demotion, a sign that maybe YB doesn't value him like before. And honestly, the tension's been bubbling for a while. Even before this footage leaked, whispers in the industry were saying YB had already started distancing himself from 3860. According to Lil Tim himself, that distance wasn't just creative, it was personal. So now everyone's left wondering what happens next. Because if the streets see a crack in YB's loyalty chain, then the empire he built on fear might be about to face its biggest test yet. One thing's for sure, when NBA YoungBoy moves, the whole game feels it. YB's mind ain't on emotions anymore, it's on liability, optics, and profit. By early 2025, his career looked cleaner than it had in years, at least on paper. Legally, he was untouchable again. Back on every streaming platform, his label throwing heavy promo behind him, and his image polished just enough to slide past corporate filters. He'd somehow become the most controversial rapper alive, and one of the few who could still pull family-friendly numbers on YouTube. That's not easy. It's chess, not checkers. Meanwhile, Lil Tim's name was fading into silence. No new tracks, no major interviews, no viral moments, just a ghost of his own legacy. That was until this new footage dropped and boom, suddenly, the man everybody forgot was trending again. but for all the wrong reasons. Social media detectives came crawling out of every corner, breaking down YB's body language, zooming in on Tim's chain, slowing the clip to 0.25 speed like it was FBI surveillance footage. Some people swore it wasn't a slap at all. They claimed it looked playful, like a light tap gone wrong that the internet twisted for clicks. But others weren't buying it. They said YB's motion looked too sharp, too deliberate, like a man sending a message. And if you followed YoungBoy long enough, you already know. Switching up is part of his survival code. He's cut off blood relatives, producers, and friends he grew up with. Loyalty in YB's world has an expiration date. So if Lil Tim even slightly stepped out of pocket, nobody would be shocked that YB reminded him who signs the checks. But now the real question is, what happens next? Because this moment might be the spark that changes everything. Fans already noticed how YB's music lately feels colder, less about the streets, more about distance and isolation. It's like he's done playing cleanup for everybody else's drama. If that smack was really about dominance, it could be the end of an era. The quiet death of the YB Quando Lil Tim triangle that's defined street rap for nearly half a decade. Because make no mistake, when a boss publicly checks his shooter, it's not just control, it's transition. And in hip-hop, transitions don't happen quietly. The fans are watching, the blogs are watching. And somewhere out there, Lil Durk's probably smirking, because the one thing he could never do, break YB's inner circle, might have just happened from within. When paranoia becomes power, things start breaking from the inside out. And this might be that moment. It all started with a blur, grainy phone footage, muffled shouts, and one quick flash of a hand that froze the whole internet. At first, nobody could tell what was happening. Then the camera steadied, and for half a second, you could clearly see it. NBA YoungBoy standing dead in the middle of a crowded studio hallway, staring down Lil Tim, the man the world knows as King Von's killer. And then, smack, one single motion that made time stop. The clip was short, just a few seconds, but it was enough to blow the culture up all over again. Within an hour, the footage was everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Every headline screaming, YoungBoy checks his own shooter, or Lil Tim humbled by the boss. Some even claimed YB just ended his own empire. To outsiders, it looked like another chaotic rapper moment, nothing serious. But people who knew the story saw something footage hit so different. It's not just about a slap, it's about a shift. Maybe YB's not trying to be the street general anymore. Maybe he's morphing into something bigger, colder, more untouchable. A man who moves by his own rules, cutting ties before they drag him down. And for the first time, fans are realizing that this smack might be the moment NBA YoungBoy stopped being part of the street war and started being the one controlling it from above. After years of being labeled the villain of hip-hop, YB finally said forget it. He's wearing that crown with pride. He's done trying to fit in or play by the industry's rules. Now it's all about outlasting everybody, no matter who gets cut off in the process. If that means turning his back on the same people who once protected him, so be it. There's something haunting about it though, how every empire YB builds eventually crumbles from the inside out. He's lived this cycle a dozen times: trust, betrayal, silence, domination, and it always ends the same way. New faces, same pattern. Maybe that's the real truth behind this whole viral moment. The footage didn't shock the world because of what it showed. It shocked people because of what it proved. That YB's biggest battle was never against Lil Durk, King Von, or even the industry. It's been against himself. Every slap, every diss, every feud, it's him fighting the reflection in the mirror. His own paranoia turned physical. The same paranoia that's kept him alive all these years is the exact thing tearing his world apart. That's the twisted irony. He built his legacy on control, but the more control he grabs, the more isolated he becomes. Even surrounded by millions, cameras, and constant attention, YB still moves like a man trapped in survival mode. Cold eyes, stiff posture, scanning every room like danger's hiding in the corner. Because once you let someone too close, they have the power to destroy you. And that's something YB refuses to let happen again. He's been burned too many times to gamble with trust. Fans keep arguing about whether the clip was real, slowed down, or staged. But honestly, it doesn't even matter anymore. In hip-hop, perception is power. What people believe hits harder than any truth. And right now, The world believes that the once unbreakable bond between NBA YoungBoy and Lil Tim has cracked beyond repair. And somewhere out in Chicago, Lil Durk's probably grinning, not out of revenge, but because time did what bullets couldn't, it split the opposition from the inside. That's the real sting. As for YB, he'll act like nothing happened. He'll stay in the studio, recording verse after verse, posting cryptic captions on Instagram, throwing subtle jabs online, and letting the world argue about meanings while he counts streams, because that's his secret weapon, turning every ounce of pain into content that keeps him untouchable. Still, no matter how many plaques he racks up or how many hits he drops, he can't escape that image. The blurred clip of a hand flashing across a face, the moment that reignited every ghost he's tried to bury for the last 5 years. That tiny frame became a symbol of his entire career. Brilliant, brutal, and self-destructive, all at once. That's why this story matters. It's way bigger than a slap. It's a mirror of what happens when fear becomes the foundation of loyalty and dominance replaces brotherhood. In YB's world, respect doesn't come from love. It comes from control. Loyalty isn't friendship, it's a contract. And when that contract stops serving him, it gets ripped apart just like every alliance before. In the end, the world will keep watching, breaking down his next move, guessing who's still in his circle and who's next to get cut off. But one thing's guaranteed, NBA YoungBoy will keep writing his legacy in chaos, one shocking moment at a time. Like, subscribe and stay tuned because this story's far from over.